Hello again, everyone. This is Ken Kibler, Director of Client Profitability for eTruckBiz. We're just getting rolling here. Just reached the top of the hour. The attendee list is climbing. So if you could, just please sit tight for another 2 minutes as we have more attendees join us. Thank you very much. All righty. Looks like we've leveled off here with the attendees. Once again, this is Ken Kibler, Director of Client Profitability for eTruckBiz. Today, we're going to cover some of the our usual things with the volume and trends. And then we're going to focus on a little bit on something we see as kind of a marketing strategy with FedEx. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A section so we can get to those at the end. And without further ado, I will turn this over to Jeff Walczak. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Ken. Thank all you guys for attending. And as always, we got to let you know that eTruckBiz is not endorsed, sponsored, approved, or otherwise affiliated with FedEx Ground. So last week we looked at the volume and it was affected by weather, but then the question was how much was it affected? Now the good news is this last week, week four of the FedEx calendar, there was a rebound in the volume. That's good. Even though there was a lot of weather out there, there was a pickup in the volume. So pickups were definitely up, back up over trend. That's really, really good. And the stops were up, the packages not so much, but packages will come in on the other side. So on the delivery side, you can see this better here. You can see what happened for peak and then how that fell down in the basement for right after peak, and then how we came back a little bit, but now definitely back to the trend line. So that's really, really good. And as you're going to see here in a minute or so, there's a lot of other folks in the transportation industry that would kill to see something like this. So let's get right on that. So this morning, there was actually some pretty big news. What happened this morning? UPS's 2024 revenue forecast disappointed on weak e-commerce demand, shares fall. So that was the headline. So what's going on there? So UPS forecast annual revenue below Wall Street estimates on UPS forecast annual revenue below Wall Street estimates on Tuesday. The world's biggest package delivery company faces sluggish demand from e-commerce firms. So the thing that propped them up forever, e-commerce, now, oh, no, e-commerce is down. Anyway, sending its shares down 5% in the pre-market. So if anybody knows or looked, they were down 7 to 8% here a little bit ago. So just so you know. The average volume took a hit in the fourth quarter as consumers spent less on e-commerce sites in both domestic and international markets. The company's business also faces pressure from customers shifting to less lucrative ground-based delivery from air-based services for both UPS and FedEx. So that's been going on for a long time now, and it's what's really behind Network 2.0. But what they didn't mention, we just showed you, your volume or FedEx's volume seems to be coming back to the trend line. right? And fortunately, it's a positive trend for FedEx. I guess they forgot to put that in this article here, that FedEx is losing some market share, or UPS is losing some market share to FedEx over discounting. If anybody knows, the CEO of UPS, Carol Tomei, Ken, said what? She said that, oh, everything's okay. We don't have to discount anymore. Volume's strong. Everything's great. Until it wasn't, I guess, this morning. Additionally, it says e-commerce leader Amazon.com, the biggest UPS customer, is leading that trend, according to company executives. UPS, seen as a bellwether for the U.S. economy. Oh, wait a minute. That can't be. That can't be. The TV told us that everything was great in the economy. So now UPS, seen as a bellwether for the U.S. economy, expects full year 2024 revenue to rank in the range of 92 to 94.5 billion, below analyst estimates of 95.57 billion. So that's not million with an M, that's billion with a B. They're only going to miss it by 3, 4, 2, 3, 5 billion. That's not good over there in UPS land. And then this happened. UPS to cut 12,000 jobs 5 months after reaching union deal. UPS cutting about 12,000 jobs. UPS slid before the opening bell on Tuesday as the package delivery company announced that it's eliminating approximately 12,000 jobs and looking at strategic options for its Coyote truck brokerage business. Yard sale, Ken, over at UPS. Yard sale, garage sale. Yard sale, garage sale. So as everybody knows, the union, they voted in this contract, but the contract was supposed to be great. They could afford it. Everything was fine. Pay them more because everything's great. On a conference call Tuesday morning, CEO Carol Tomei said that by reducing the company's headcount, UPS will realize $1 billion in cost savings. Good job.
That's not a full 4 billion though, right? That they were
I don't know where the other money's going to come from. They promised Wall Street. I don't know. Everything's good over there, huh? Okay, so here we go into Network 2.0, where everything is going to be just fine, right? What is that, Ken? What is it? What are you, they're taking a picture there?
I'm excited about the donut.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. Problem. Problem is the early tests, the terminals that already have some express volume, they're not hitting their on-time service goals. So much so that now there's a delay in progressing with the integration. So by this time, they expected to have a whole bunch of other things going on at this point. But here we are at the end of January. And everything, almost everything, has been put on hold. So there will be a little movement, but not much for a while. There will be some other terminals getting into the test, but not too many, not anything appreciable until later. So question is, well, what's the problem? So most of you that have been here before, if you would recall, back in October, we had the following observation. we had said that Network 2.0 has got Wall Street's attention. Do you remember that, Ken?
I certainly do. They think they held their quarterly or the earnings release from Wall Street, didn't they?
Well, the analysts were asking us back then, can CSPs, can FedEx's contractors adapt their drivers to the new culture needed to handle the express operation, right? We talked and been talking almost every week about culture change. If you remember back then, we said Wall Street was concerned about driver quality. Drivers will have difficulty with new service complexities. It's not just get it all done and go home. Will contractors be able to adjust driver expectations? Drivers expect an easier daily path to their completion than their colleagues at UPS, FedEx, Express. So again, put as many stops on the truck as you can, get it done and go home, right? What's wrong with that?
Somebody's got to be out there for the pickups.
Well, I heard that one yesterday. So somebody yesterday, I said, you're not gonna be able to do that anymore. Or why do you do that? And they told me, well, what's wrong with that? Then, of course, driver culture. Drivers used to getting their way, resulting in significant turnover and possible CSP failure. So that was Wall Street asking those questions. And the bottom line was, can CSPs overcome the challenges presented by poor quality and training of drivers enough to provide expected service? So far, that's not going so good, is it? Right? So we brought this up back then, and it's the reason for the mostly pause, or the pause right now. They're going to do something about it, right? So if FedEx can't get CSPs to change driver culture, then what? Then they're going to have to try to change it themselves. So coming to the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl near you. Merv, you going to watch the Super Bowl this year?
Absolutely.
Guess what you're going to see on there?
Taylor Swift.
And yes, maybe somebody else, something else. A new FedEx ad features FedEx ground delivery for Tony Hawk. The Tales of True Deliveries. That's what they call this advertising series. I'm sorry, Tall Tales of True Deliveries. So what's this about? FedEx superhero Joe rushes rings to a beach wedding and latest ad campaign. FedEx courier rushes bridal jewelry to a beach wedding and the company's newly launched. Do you see this one, Merv?
I did.
So the cool thing about this, the 30-second spots created by New York-based agency BBDO position FedEx employees as superheroes in a series that will drive home the theme that their dedicated team will always go the extra mile. So, who are those ads aimed at? Customers? Not really, but it's good to get the FedEx brand any way you can out in front of a customer. That's good. Shippers? Nah, shippers don't particularly care for that. They're aimed at drivers to get them to think differently and believe they can be heroes. To get them to think about what they are really doing and not just delivering packages. They're aimed at changing driver behavior. Would you agree, Ken?
Absolutely. Making every delivery important. You don't know when it's going to be, but It could be wedding rings. It could be documents that are critical to whatever. So FedEx is trying to raise that awareness and change the driver's behavior that all deliveries are important.
And not just the delivery, but when. Anyway, and they're aimed at CSP's culture. That's got to change. And additionally, they're aimed at drivers' engagement and morale. You think driver engagement, in fact, right before, nah, anyway, additionally, do you think driver morale's doing fine right now, Ken?
It depends. That some are frustrated. I can tell you that. And with time definites and having to stay out for pickups, that's going to automatically uh, put a damper on driver morale where they can't just go out, do the truck, work the truck in the order that they want to work it in and be done at 2 o'clock and go home. So that will impact morale.
So when you unpack it, it's really the drivers' lives that are changing, is it not? There are tons of changes headed the driver's way. But here's the thing, the success or failure of Network 2.0 rides with them. It's not with necessarily those of us on this webinar here, but it's with the drivers. The drivers are going to have to do some superhero stuff. Often it's the focus on the little things that breed big successes, right? One little thing that can be successfully done by every driver is to clock in and out every day. And remember, it needs to be on a system unrelated to anything FedEx ground. Ken, can you punch guys in for them? Or can you punch in for your drivers?
No, that might be create some violations with the Fair Labor Act.
Absolutely, it would. And can you just take the times from the scanner or something like that? Maybe get some times from the guard shack or something?
That might create a violation of your contractual obligations to FedEx.
So if I want to change my driver's culture and they just saw a commercial on the Super Bowl that said, oh, look, they can do superhuman things. How about a superhuman thing like getting them to clock in, clock out? It's a little thing, but would it not get them? Could you not build on that success? By the
To
way,
start,
it's a start. That's right. One little thing, right? One little thing. By the way, here's what the timekeeper looks like in the eTruckBiz driver app. I'm sure everybody on this webinar has seen that before. So like we just said, if you can get them to do this, we bet you can build that success with subsequent successes. If you can get folks to start doing a few little things, it's a lot easier to get them to do bigger things, like get their 1030s delivered by 10:30, get their noons delivered by noon. All those other things we need them to do, it all starts with something like getting them to clock in and out. So while it's a simple task, the only way to get consistent cooperation from everybody is for you to make it important to them. Well, it's great, Jeff. How do I do that? How do I make something like that important to them? You make it important to them by following up with them. Ken, what's following up mean? What would I have to do?
I'd have to have the tools to see if they were clocked in.
That's right. You got to make sure they're clocked in and they have to know that you're watching them every day. Right? Now, if you do that, if you go up to a driver or your BC goes to your driver and says, you know what, thank you for punching in today. Thank you for punching out last night, or whatever it is. That's going to show that driver that something like that is important to you, the AO, or you, the BC, or whoever. That's how you do that. That's how you win a little battle, right? So Ken just said it. It would be great if you had a tool so you could check to see if they're clocking in and out. So he's going to show you that here in a second. Maybe. How come I can't
Almost,
send you?
I got it.
Oh, you got it. That's why I can't do it.
Yep. So there we go. So this is the new look of our Optix app, where this is the on-road view of where I've got a status on each driver. Over here, I can quickly see if this person is clocked in. I've got that green means they're clocked in, and this person is still active. I come down to the next person. This person is clocked in, how many stops per hour they've got. Oh, and guess what they did? They did a pre-trip on the truck. I can see that here. They've done 42 out of 189 delivery stops. I mean, this guy's too busy to do a pre-trip, right? No, he's done it. He's got one time definite stop that he hasn't done yet. He's done one of his 5 pickup stops down here, and I can see that for every one of my trucks. If I want a quick summary to see who's clocked, to see how my business is doing, I can see right here I've got 41 people clocked in, 2 that have already clocked out. But then once again, to get the detail, I come right here. We'll say, well, I've got multiple CSAs. What do I do? Okay. I'll come down here. I'm going to switch to my other CSA. And lo and behold, I've got 4 people on the road, clocked in, pre-trip, clocked in, pre-trip, clocked in, pre-trip, clocked in, pre-trip. So I know that the culture in this business is pretty good right now. Now, they don't have any time definites, but guess what? Those building blocks that Jeff showed, they're in place. They've got discipline right here. We've talked about changing your culture from day management to hourly management. Well, this is your first part of your hourly management. What's happening right in my operation during this hour? Well, I've got everybody clocked in. I've got the people doing their stuff already. You can say this, what's their stops per hour? Got everything I need right there. Okay. How are they doing on their pickup stops? Got it right there. Okay. You'll see one other tab up here, which while your preload's going on, you're not going to see anything here, but you'll be able to see while the preload's going on, how many delivery stops your driver has, how many time definite stops they have, how many 10:30 AMs they have. So if you have to make adjustments, if you're dispatching at 9:30 and somebody's got 20 10:30s, they're probably not going to be able to get them delivered. You'll be able to make adjustments there, and then their pickups. But this is a on road, so you can see how they're doing all day long. Like I said, you can break it down by CSA as well. So I think that's important. The admin tab is just a quick look to see what we've got. 41 clocked in, 2 clocked out. How many people did pre-trips right there? How many people did their safety compliance? How many people have scheduled time off requests that you haven't answered yet? And any DOT items and stuff like that. So your BC has everything in their hands. This is what the preload looks like. See, this route has 48 stops. It hasn't been dispatched yet. This one had 121. It hadn't been dispatched yet. So here's my time, my 10:30s. If you had them, they'd be right there. And as your preload's going on, if a route hasn't been dispatched, it's going to be building right here. You can start to see this when your preload starts up. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm hoping my BC's got this pulled up on their way into the building. So they can make any plan on any adjustments that they need. And then, well, we switched on road have my drivers clocked in? Yep. Okay, and if they haven't clocked in, there won't be the green. So here's somebody who has not clocked in. Oh, I get a time definite too. That's due. Want to drill down on that? I can do that. When I go to the time definites here, I can do that. I can do it by time. So some of these are not truly time definites. They're just more that they have to deliver after 2 a.m. But here's one that hasn't been delivered yet. And you can see that it's flashing. So probably, without a doubt, the best management tool that's offered in the industry, and going to be absolutely critical that you have something like this as you get the time definites. But more so, as Jeff said, time to start changing culture. Obviously, FedEx feels it's time to change drivers' culture, that they went and put forth a complete marketing campaign aimed at the drivers. Yes, consignees kind of like it because it's kind of, that's neat. They drivers going above. My delivery is important to them. Shippers, advertising isn't for shippers. It's really for the consignees. So, and this one is really for your drivers. It's a tremendous marketing tool that FedEx is doing. It's going to be powerful. Ads during the Super Bowl, last I checked, weren't very cheap. Not kind of can't pull that money out of my wallet. Maybe Jeff can, but it's definitely with a purpose of hitting the drivers, changing the culture, their attitude, their culture, and then it's going to help you. So, but eTruckBiz is also to help you change culture with can they clock in? Can they clock out? Can they deliver their time definites? Can I get them to change their behavior? Okay. Jeff or Bob, anything to add? Nope.
Nope.
I think you can go to the questions.
All right. We got a couple questions here. So we'll go to that. While I agree and appreciate the idea what FedEx is doing to improve driver culture, this should be done with a concerted effort to close the gap in pay between UPS and FedEx Ground. I understand the benefits to work for contractors versus UPS management, but the difference in pay is far too different. I mean, the old adage, money talks, BS walks, sort of applies. Will they ever pay you enough to pay $49 per hour? I'm not sure, but what can you afford to pay depends on what your drivers can generate in revenue. Believe me, UPS has targets too on what their labor as a percentage of revenue should be. And what do? They push the revenue on those trucks. How do they push it? Stops per hour. How do they improve stops per hour? Very diligent on methods. They've got the analytics on how many times somebody backs up, how long that bulkhead door's open. They know where a driver's losing time. So they absolutely drive the metrics. And the biggest thing they do, they keep the trucks on the road for 9 hours. So big difference. If somebody's doing 20 stops per hour and they're only out 6 hours, they're going to do 120 stops. Guess what happens if they're out there for 9 hours? 9 times 20. Oh, it's 180 stops. So you've got a 60 stops difference times your revenue per stop. Let's just go 350. So 60 times 350, that's an additional $210 worth of revenue. Going to burn the fuel anyhow, right? 60 stops, $210 more worth of revenue based off of 350 per stop. Oh, so what's 180 times 3.5? That truck's going to generate $630 worth of revenue times 0.45. Oh, I could pay my driver $280 a day. Probably don't need to, right? So that's kind of the difference. And what's good about these time definite packages. They're smaller. They increase density from what we're seeing in the station that we're studying. We're seeing an increase in volume of 20%. And the good part is they're going to add that to your contract because it was one of the unfortunate things that I saw with the people that added the express. Their volume increased 20%. Well, what did that do? That lowered their revenue per stop. Granted, they could make it up. They were making more money, but the revenue per stop went down. Well, now that's going to be built into your contract. So if your contract was written on 325 per stop at 5,000 stops per week, and you actually do 5,000 stops per week, guess what? You're going to get 325 per stop. So where before, if you were doing 7,000 stops on a 5,000 plan, chances are your revenue per stop dropped down to 305. So can I put 40 more stops on each driver? Hopefully. Is it a little bit tougher? Go
Ken,
ahead.
I can't ask my guys to be out 8 hours, 8.5, 9 hours. They'll quit.
Well, if we want to equal the pay gap between UPS and FedEx, we've got to work that we have to work it that way. So,
Well, does anybody else keep them out 8.5, 9 hours?
we do have customers that do that.
No, I mean other companies.
FedEx or UPS absolutely does.
UPS. Oh my gosh. So UPS pays their drivers so much more than the FedEx ground folks, right?
Yes, they do. They pay them $49 an hour. But
You just told us how they can.
yes, absolutely.
Just
Because
wondering.
that truck is going to, rather than, like I said, 6 hours or set, for 3 more hours, I'm going to get 60 more stops.
Does UPS pick up their 5:30 and 6 o'clock drop boxes up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
That might get somebody fired.
Just wondering.
So, yeah. Another question was, does the app offer a timesheet summary to run payroll? Absolutely. If they are using the Timekeeper app, it will populate the what's called the gross pay calculator, and the gross pay calculator then produces a spreadsheet that can be used. Also, you can get a summary of your employees' pay as well, how many hours they worked, just hours, and then the gross pay calculator will give you their pay. So all of those are available as part of our standard tier. Speaking from this, rather than the director of customer profitability, I'll put in my director of sales hat for $29.95 per truck per month. So if you are not a subscriber, we do offer a free trial where you would have access to all of that data, and I can show you that on a one-on-one demo. So anybody have anything else to add? Did I hit everything? Any other questions? Please take us serious when we say that culture has to change with the drivers. And the timekeeper is just step one. We've got customers that their drivers religiously use the timekeepers. And then we have customers call us and say, I can't get them to clock in and clock out. Start with the basics. And then if I can get them to punch in and punch out, I can convince them that they have to do the 1030s first. And I've got to start talking about it now. Those people don't want to stay out till 5 o'clock and do pickups. You know when you want to get rid of them? Now, because you got drivers left over from peak. Now's the time to get rid of them. Now's the time to upgrade your fleet. But I got to start changing the culture. And as Jeff said, let's start with the building blocks, do something easy. You got to get them to clock in and clock out, whether it's eTruckBiz, whether it's some other system, but it can't be FedEx because you don't want to put your contract in jeopardy. but you have to do it. You get a payroll compliance audit and they're not clocking in and clocking out, you're going to get OTC, and then they're going to force you to use an expensive payroll company that will not keep you in compliance, but they'll gladly take your money. Where do it right, and eTruckBiz can help you do it right. Our payroll service, our payroll clerks are phenomenal because they literally care about your business. They're going to know when somebody gets in a truck under 10,000 pounds. They're going to know when somebody's not clocking in, but you will too, because you're going to be using the handy dandy Optix app to know who clocked in and who did not clock out. So, all righty. Jeff, anything to add?
No, I think you're good.
All righty. So, like I said, if you need any questions, if you have any questions, please reach out to us about the timekeeping system, how it works, the reports that it will generate. It's going to definitely make your life a lot easier for you. Automatically calculate your payroll for you. I got to believe everybody in this call spends at least 2 to 4 hours on their payroll each week. It's going to speed that time up for you as well. So we will be back here again next week. We'll hopefully we see some more reliable volume trends as the weather has pretty well spread across the has dissipated across the country, and I think the volume will normalize somewhat. So, Jeff, up to you for the final.
It's coming, folks. You're gonna have to, try to be nice. People tell me, "Oh, you're being a meanie." We're just telling you the way it is. They're gonna get one way or another. They're gonna get contractors and their drivers to do time definite service. There's no question about that. So you can be part of the winning team, or you can watch from the sidelines.
And the good thing about it, UPS's volume is falling. You saw the trend line at FedEx. It's on the increase, so it's a good place to be. And you just have to manage and change the culture. So getting the drivers to clock in, getting them to stay on the road longer will increase your revenue per dispatch, which gives you the ability to pay your drivers more. So everybody, please have a great, safe week. Please have a great, profitable week. And we look forward to seeing everybody back here next Tuesday. Thank you very much.